keep having issues with my computer, but I think I figured it out. I think, oh, here we go. Hey, were you able to tell Max? Were you able to tell Max to try and jump on? Is my audio working? Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, I think I finally figured out what I was doing wrong. I think that I kept putting in that I needed I don't know, some kind of different password. Like, I don't know how I did that and didn't realize that's what I was doing, but I finally figured it out. So, sorry. Now that I know what I was doing wrong, I got it fixed. I got it fixed. Okay. All right. Sorry. Today has been something else. I mean, it's been a day for sure. I feel so bad. Jackson had to go to the dentist earlier, and Braylon had 2 Zoom meetings this morning. So she's doing Zoom meetings in the back of our car while I'm taking Jackson to the dentist. And then we hit my neighbor's car on the way home, and it was just, oh my God. So anyway, needless to say, I haven't gotten my videos done or anything today, but it's okay. It's okay. Really quick, just a couple of things. So, like I said, I finally figured out what I was doing wrong when I set up the Zoom meetings for yesterday and today, and apparently I didn't realize that it was changing my code. I don't know how I did that, but anyway. So in your packet, and I didn't realize this till I was scanning everything in yesterday. Not that it really matters, but it doesn't have the usual section pages that I usually put in the packets. So we're going to go over the 2 review sheets. They do have a couple of similar questions in both of them, but they're both, I guess they're both civil rights study guides is what you could call them. So yesterday I started going over on the long one, the one that's got 28 questions. On that one, I started and I went, let's see, how far did I go? 10, maybe? I went 1 through 10 on the one that's got the 28 questions. Yeah, okay. All right, so let's do that one first, and then I'll jump to the other one and then talk about, there's a couple other pages in the packet to talk about. All right, so this is where I was going to pick back up in your notes video for today, which I have not yet got to, but will. All right, so I'm just going to kind of backtrack just a little bit. So question 10 is talking more about where everything gets started with Little Rock, Arkansas in 1957. And then 11 says who had to intervene in order to make sure the students were guaranteed access to the school. So in 1957, it was Eisenhower. Eisenhower stepped in and sent in the federal troops, or sent in the National Guard. So Eisenhower stepped in for that one. And then 12 says this movement began in 1960 in Greensboro. And that one is talking about the sit-in. So sit-in movements. So 12 is sit-in movements, which it was 4 A&T college students that started that, and it became another nationwide movement. 13, these people tried to protest segregation in bus stations by riding buses and physically integrating the white only, and they were the Freedom Riders. Not to be confused with the movie Freedom Riders, but Freedom Riders, to where they wrote it in reverse. So it was colored students in the front and white college students in the back. So they actually flipped it from what the separate seating was. Here's something interesting. Fun fact for you, that when they had everything separate, whether it was restaurants or movie theaters, that most movie theaters actually had balconies, and they had balconies for this purpose, because colored patrons or customers sat in the balcony upstairs, and they had a whole separate entrance. and then white customers were the ones that were allowed down at the bottom. And same thing for restaurants. Restaurants were separate to where they couldn't, obviously, now they couldn't sit at the counter, which is what the sit-in movement was about, but they were only allowed to sit at tables and booths in the very back of the restaurant, usually near the kitchen and bathroom areas. Okay, sorry. Let's see, where was that? 14, this city, is that right? 14. This city was the site of a massive civil rights protest in 1963, where protesters were attacked by fire hoses and police dogs. And this is talking about Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama. So if you haven't noticed already by looking through at your notes, there's a lot that goes down in Alabama, whether it's Montgomery, Alabama or Birmingham, Alabama. Those deep southern states and Arkansas is where it gets bad. 15, he tried to gain admission into the all-white University of Mississippi. And this is James Meredith. James Meredith was a World War II vet that was applying to college and was denied by the governor of Mississippi based on race. And here again, and if you notice, hold on, does it say the year in that one? No, it doesn't. But this time it was actually Kennedy that had to send in federal marshals to make sure that he was escorted on campus and was safe. All right, 16 says he was the governor of Alabama who ran for re-election on the slogan, segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. And this is George Wallace. George Wallace is the governor of Alabama, and he actually is going to be shot. It doesn't kill him, it just paralyzes him. But again, and I hate to reference the movie Forrest Gump so many times, but if you've ever seen Forrest Gump, it actually does his lifetime, like pulls legit clips from different pieces of history. Like it shows Elvis all the way back in the 1950s, and supposedly he stayed at their place, right? And then as he goes to college, it shows him standing outside as they're trying to integrate the schools, and it actually shows a very quick clip of George Wallace being shot. Again, it doesn't kill him, it just paralyzes him. But he was actually going to run for president, and people didn't like that. So, okay. Next is 17. This was the large civil rights protest in 1963 when Martin Luther King Jr. gave a famous speech. And this is the March on Washington. March on Washington. March on Washington happens, and they picked 1963 for a reason, because it is the centenary, the 100th year anniversary, the centenary of the Emancipation Proclamation. Sorry, it took me a minute to get it out. But it was the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, and he stands, what better spot but to stand in front of, well, the Lincoln Memorial to give his I Have a Dream speech, which also, by the way, he wrote while he was in a jail cell after peaceful protesting, mind you, because that is his mantra. Next, oh, I already said it. We already know 18 is the I Have a Dream, is the name of his speech. 19, named the law passed in 1964, which banned discrimination in all public places. So Civil Rights Act of 64 is going to ban discrimination in all public places. And let's stop at 20. 20 says the effort to register Black voters in Mississippi in 1964. Oh geez. Oh, what is this? It was the march. They did the march. What do they call it? That's terrible. I'm blanking. I know they walked. It was 50 miles. They walked from Selma to. Geez, I don't have my computer to have my. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna get it. Maybe that's what they called Bloody Sunday. Maybe that's what it's referring to, because they called it Bloody Sunday after so many people got the snot beat out of them for walking these 50 miles. Like legit, they weren't hurting anybody. Walking 50 miles trying to encourage all voters to go and register to vote for the next upcoming election. The sheriff comes and tries to stop them. Sheriff deputies come and try and stop them. And of course, they don't stop because they're not doing anything wrong besides aggravating people. Hold on. I'm going to have to look at it or else it's going to drive me crazy to make sure that that's what it's asking or that's what it's referencing. Hold on. Wait a minute. What in the world? What is that? It might be going on to your next page of notes. That might be what I have not sent in. I think I just realized that I've got to go back in and put your new page of notes up, because what was the page that I've already posted? Was that 80 or 81 that I've already posted?
81, I think.
Okay, because I've got to post the next page. Let's see if I can find it really quick. So civil rights movement is what I've already posted, I think, and then I got to go back in and put, let's see if I can find it. They're not in order. That's crazy. Let's see if it'll come up. There we go. Okay, it's taking it just a minute. Okay. Does it say civil rights continues, or what does it say?
I think so. Yeah, I don't have my notes. Maybe does, but her like voice thing's messed up or something.
Oh, I got you. Okay. All right, hold on. I think I finally found it. Oh, it just Freedom Summer. Freedom Summer is what it is. Freedom Summer, and they're going from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama. That's what it is. Okay. So Freedom Summer, and everything that happens during this altercation ends up being what is also included in the Voting Rights Act of 65, which is going to be one of our next. Yeah, go ahead and put 21, because that's the answer to 21. The federal law passed in 65 is the Voting Rights Act of 65, which eliminates literacy test, no more grandfather clause, and we're going to make it an amendment that you can't have a poll tax either, which is the 24th Amendment. I don't think it asked that on there, so that's just another little fun fact for you. Okay, all right, so I'm going to make sure I share this one, because I'm pretty sure I hadn't put this one in there yet, if I'm not mistaken. I think I meant to, but didn't ever go in and do it. Okay, now go to your packets, and in your packet it actually does say Civil Rights Study Guide, and I think yesterday when I was going over some of the questions, I want to say that I only did 1 through 8. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. All right, so grab it and let's work on a few inside your packet. All right, so number 9, again, there's a couple of repeats. Number 9, where did the sit-in movement begin and when? So Greensboro, North Carolina, 1960. And if you really wanted to be specific, you could put at a Woolworths, which, fun fact, and I feel bad that I still have not been in there to see it now that they've got it set up as the Civil Rights Museum in Greensboro, but it's just never been a good time. So a Woolworths is almost like putting a cookout inside of a Walgreens. It was like a 4-in-1. They had like a little lunch counter area, and then they've got the pharmacy, and then they've got the general store, and then, I mean, it's really neat. There's a couple of very similar ones, not an actual Woolworths, but a couple of similar setup and pharmacies actually in some really small towns. There's one, I don't know if you've ever heard of King, North Carolina. It's close to Winston-Salem. But they have a pharmacy that actually is very similar to what Woolworths was like, still up and running today. But okay, that's 9. 10, what did the Freedom Riders do? And they were just, let's see, how can we simplify this? Trying to end segregation on public transportation. There we go. We'll say it that way. Trying to end segregation on public transportation. And they did this by riding the buses in reverse order throughout. Oh, we lost Maddie. Oh, no. Yep. Well, I don't know what happened. We lost her. Oh, there she is. She's back. Okay, she's back. I was worried there for a minute. Okay. Let's see what's next. All right, 11, 1963, protesters in this Alabama city were met with police violence and fire hoses. I said Birmingham. I want to double check now that I got my notes up just to make sure it is Birmingham. I'm almost positive, but yep, it is. It is. It's Birmingham, Alabama, where they are met with police violence. They use water hoses, or not water hoses, like fire hoses. If you've ever seen the water pressure that comes out of a fire hose, I mean, it's enough to wipe the skin off your face. So that's pretty intense. You know, they release the dogs on them. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, all right. Next is 12, who was James Meredith? And I actually was talking about that just a little bit on the other question, but he is a World War II vet. World War II vet that applies, and he is denied based on race. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Let's see. 13 says, what did George Wallace do to gain national attention? And he used the state guard, the Alabama National Guard, used them to keep out colored students. And then the president has to come in and be like, no, you can't do that. And so the president sends in federal troops. I mean, it's a mess. It is a mess. But overall, you could just put that he tries to stop integration into all Alabama schools. Okay. All right. Next. All right, we're going to do just a couple more on this one. 14 says, what was the March on Washington? This one is a repeat question. So this is just a celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. But it's almost a reminder of the frustration of the fact that we haven't really advanced that far in 100 years, you know? I mean, we make slavery illegal, but then we keep the races separate and don't allow us to ever, you know, kind of heal the wounds as the nation. And it just, the longer you wait, it always makes things worse, not better. So, all right, let's see. We'll do 15 and 16 and then we'll stop there. All right, 15 says, what federal law finally guaranteed voting rights? Just answered that one too. That's the Voting Rights Act of 65. Voting Rights Act of 65. And see a way to share this. Okay, and then we'll stop with 16. So 16 wants to know who was Medgar Evers. And we're just going to put this, civil rights activist. Civil rights activist who actually is going to be another assassination. I'm telling you, the 60s were not a good time period. They were probably one of the more violent decades of our history. I mean, think about it. We got Kennedy assassinated. MLK Jr. Hadn't talked about it yet, but he's going to be assassinated. We got Robert Kennedy going to be assassinated in 68. We got Medgar Evers. We got Malcolm X. I haven't even talked about him yet. He's going to be assassinated by a member of his own group. You know, I mean, that's just a couple of people, because those are the individuals that are going to be on national headlines, right? So it is probably, the 60s are probably one of the most violent and deadly decades. And we haven't even mentioned we start the Vietnam War in the 60s. So, I mean, it's not even talking about all the civil rights violence in the individual cities, but we get into a war, it's a mess. It's not good. It's not good times. Okay. All right. So stop there with that sheet. And like I said, I didn't realize when I was putting it together, because when I found it and started copying it, I guess I just assumed that it already had the pages in it that it usually does. And I was in a hurry, and Max knows, he was there. The school alarm was going off. I was panicking. I might have peed myself a little bit. I don't know. Okay. So, the rest of the packet is pretty much making sure that oh yeah, and I'm sure you probably realized this already, that last page is Vietnam stuff, which is supposed to be for next week. So my apologies. I'm telling you, I don't know where I was or what I was thinking when I put this together. So make sure that you're just working on the pages that are the timeline, the story, and the civil rights reteaching activity, which I'll probably help you with that one either tomorrow or maybe Thursday. That one is a little bit of a beast, because if you don't know all the details, it's kind of hard to put each individual person with what it is that they said and did. So we might hold off on that one, but if you want to go ahead and work on the timeline or going through the story, I'll tell you what, here's what we'll do, because we'll probably finish our study guides tomorrow. And then Thursday, we'll use Thursday to do your little reteaching, matching activity, and then talk about the story. The story is something else. If you've already read it, that's okay. But if not, let's save it for Thursday, because it's a tearjerker. It's a good one. Okay. All right. So that's what I've got. And again, my apologies. I'm gonna go in and put in that. There's actually 2 more pages of notes that I'm gonna go ahead and post that go along with the rest of the stuff for this week. And there was something else, and I'm forgetting what it is. Oh, I know what I was going to ask. And I don't know, everybody's situation is a little bit different. So I don't know how much time you have on your hands, or if you've had a chance to go through that list of movies. Have you seen any of the movies on that list before? Maybe. Max, what have you seen?
I haven't looked at it yet. I haven't looked at the list yet.
Oh, okay. Because I think I don't have but just a couple of those on DVD. The other ones are, like I have 42. Jackie Robinson, the story of Jackie Robinson. Have you seen that one? You have. Okay. All right. So that one is a fantastic example of civil rights and what's happening, I mean, that one specifically is what's happening with Major League Baseball and integration. Remember the Titans? That one is on Disney Plus. I saw that one the other day. And the other ones I didn't find on like Netflix or anything like that. I think they're on Amazon Prime, but I think some of them you might have to rent. And I don't want you to have to rent anything. But if there's one that you've either already seen or want to see, of course, that would be great examples to watch as we're going through this unit as an awesome visual. And another good one, and you got to be careful when you look it up because there's a couple of movies that are by the same name, but Race, R-A-C-E, is the Jesse Owens story, to where he goes overseas and runs in the Olympics. But like I said, you got to be careful when you look that one up because apparently there's also an actual like car racing movie that is also called Race. That is not the right one. But if you find it and you want to watch it, it is a phenomenal movie. Like I said, good visuals to kind of see what's going down during this time period. And I was kind of going back and forth on whether or not I wanted to actually make that an assignment, but I decided not to, just because I didn't want to make anybody feel like they had to pay for something to watch something. And I don't know what everybody's time situation is.
Okay.
But I think that's it that I've got for today. Questions, problems, issues, anything?
Yep, I'm good.
No? Okay. All right. Well, again, sorry about the trouble with the video. I finally figured out. I know what I'm doing, so I'll know to make sure that I double check that for tomorrow. And I think that it'll just be tomorrow and Thursday. I think we can be Friday free, you know, free Fridays. So, okay. All right. Well, if you think of something, let me know. If not, then I will see you guys tomorrow. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Good deal. See y'all later.